Why do you keep doing this to me, Netflix? Just why? You already tried this last year with Avatar and it sucked. Big time. And you'd think that Netflix would have learned from that, right?
My name is Yumeko, and I've been bad.
Bet is Netflix's latest attempt at trying to violently milk another one of their shows to death by remaking it instead of, oh, I don't know, just, giving it another season or a sequel show or literally anything else. But you know what's funny? I'd never even watched Kakegurui before this, and even I could tell that this was gonna suck. You're telling me this girl is supposed to be the same as that girl. But you see, I want to watch the anime both because I want to actually compare the Netflix version to the original, and because I'd like to balance out all the dog shit I watch for you guys with something, actually good. And after finishing both shows, I have just one question. How? How do you keep doing this? How do you fail at adapting something you literally f***ing made? Also, why when I searched it up on Netflix, did Netflix suggest the Slender Man movie to me? This isn't even the first time Netflix has done this. Remember this?
He took off his balls. He did it to send a message. In his words,
you'll never know true power until you've tasted the testicles of a man who's wronged you.
Man, I'm surprised this never got a second season. But before I get into this, excuse my French, shit show, wanna make a bet? How about if you make it past the halfway point in the video, you gotta like and subscribe. I don't know, you get to not watch this video, I guess? Anyways, let's get into this. So, before I get into the Netflix version, I probably should give you a quick rundown of the anime. So, Yumeko is a high school student transferring to the prestigious put it on screen, future me, but that private academy, where the rich elite of Japan sent their kids to, learn how to be rich assholes, and where everything, and I mean everything, revolves around gambling. Literally. There's not a single scene of anyone actually taking classes. I'm pretty sure that the only thing they do is gamble. The school is basically run by the student council, and they're all completely nuts. And the craziest out of all of them is the student council president, Kirari Momobami. The whole school is her personal zoo, and all of this is just a game to her. This girl, Ikishima, lost to her in a gamble and couldn't pay, so Kirari was like,
"There's something else I've never seen. I've never seen the back of someone's eye socket."
And Ikishima's equally crazy, so she pulls a mesmer and gouges her own eye out. And then she's just like,
"Oh, you do it again."
You wanna know how Kirari responded to that?
I appreciate the effort, I really do, but I'm satisfied.
And all of them are this insane. There's not a single normal character in the entire show. So because Yumeko looks like a somewhat normal person, she seems like easy prey. So she's immediately challenged by this girl. Obviously, Mario's cheating because duh. Yumeko reveals though that she knew right from the start because she's actually completely f***ing insane. And this is my one big issue with the anime. The games get pretty repetitive because they all follow the formula of Yumeko getting challenged to a game, the other guy's obviously cheating because duh, and is totally sure that there's no way Yumeko can win, and then Yumeko reveals that she's known the whole time and wins anyways. It's really easy to predict how it's gonna go after a while. It was also kinda hard to follow sometimes because some of the games get pretty complicated. But it wasn't really that big of a problem, despite how much of the episodes the games take up, because the real focus is on the characters and all the insane shit they do to get one over on each other. And out of all of them, Yumeko is the craziest. She's insane, unhinged even. She's like Joker from the hit 2019 movie Joker. Okay, no, but she is
full tilt batshit insane!
She doesn't even care about winning or losing, she only cares about the thrill of gambling. It's literally the only thing she lives for. It's what she goons to. I'm not even joking about that. This show's horny as hell. She literally comes to gambling. She's not even the only one. But despite how over the top and completely insane the anime gets, it's never to the point that you can't take it seriously. I don't know how, but somehow it always finds this balance where it's never so over the top that it goes overboard. And I really like the anime. I think the anime is really good. Sure, it's kind of crazy, and again, it's kind of horny. I mean, the outro is literally just like a minute of shots of Yumeko's tits and ass. I'm not fucking joking. That is actually what the outro is. But overall, I think the anime is really good. So what about Netflix's version? Is it any good? No, I'm not even gonna pretend that's good. You knew this wasn't gonna be good. You knew it sucked. Alright, so obviously my expectations were low. The bar was on the floor. The trailer looked like boiled ass, but I still wanted to give it a fair shot.
My name is Yumeko, and I've been bad.
No! Oh, no. Oh, I can. Oh, yeah, no. Holy shit. Fucking first line. This is not Yumeko. I no longer wanted to give it a fair shot. Like, look, I really tried to be fair, but what the f do you want from me when the literal first line of dialogue is such pure, concentrated cringe? And maybe you think it's the only line that's this bad. It's not.
Slay, Mother Chris, I love you so much.
I'm pretty sure that's not even the worst line in the show. There's also a lot of clunky exposition dialogue that does not fit in well. It's kind of funny that the live action show has more of a problem with this than the anime, because something that I've noticed is that a lot of anime have some pretty clunky exposition. Even really good ones. So you'd think that that'd be the one thing that the Netflix show would do better. Anyways, so instead of just cutting straight to Yumeko arriving at the school, they added in this little introduction of her gambling in detention, and the acting is
Bad.
like, this is Starman tier acting. I'm not even exaggerating. And honestly, I don't really blame the actors, because nobody could make a line like,
My name is Yumeko, and I've
made a severe and continuous lapse in my judgment.
sound good. You could have cast Meryl Streep, and that line would have still been shit. Anyway, so she gets expelled, but I guess this has all been part of her training. So now that she's a gambling god, her aunt? I don't know, they never really clarify who the f this lady is, but she sends Yumeko to St. Dominic's, a high school for the elites of the world, to learn to be rich assholes. And the rest of the first episode basically plays out the same way as the anime. Yumeko meets this guy Raine. He's supposed to be the Ryota stand-in, so he gives her the rundown. He also immediately wants to clap those cheeks because he's a virgin, I guess. Yumeko is obviously immediately challenged by Mary, who's a student council member now, which I don't actually mind that change. That change is fine. Yumeko obviously wins. You get it, right? The biggest difference in the first episode is that it's revealed at the end of the episode that she's not actually here for the thrill of gambling. She's here because she's trying to find out who killed her parents. I don't know why this is so funny to me. I think it's just how abrupt it is and how and terrible the effects are. The whole show has this weird, cheap look to it. I can't really explain what it is exactly, but I mean, just look at it. But if I had to give them credit for something, like if you held a taser to my balls and told me that I had to find something good about the show, the editing's actually pretty good. Like, I'll give them some points for style, because the show is at least trying to not look too generic. I mean, it still is generic, but that's an issue for later. But that's literally the only good thing about the Netflix version. Now, I'm not gonna give you the whole play-by-play of the whole show, because then this video would be an hour long, and I refuse to put that much effort into a video about this show. That, and also, this is just not enough to talk about, bro. Like, sure, I could nitpick every tiny little thing in every scene, but you see, the thing is, it's not even just that it's a bad adaptation. I mean, it is, but it could still be kinda decent on its own. Like, Netflix Avatar was also a shit adaptation, but on its own, it's not that bad. That's not the case here. You don't need to have watched Kakegurui to know that this show is shit. Like, I don't need to compare Yumeko to the anime version to tell you that she's a shit character. They really try hard to convince you that she's this crazy master manipulator. You know, that she's crazy, unhinged even. She's like Joker from the hit 2024 movie Joker 2, Folly Ado. What I mean is she's a terrible bastardization of an actually good character. I'm sorry, but I can't take Yumeko seriously. She's also just boring, like she's not really that fun to watch. The acting is ass. I want you to understand that watching this show was actually physically painful. It also just kind of feels like they couldn't decide on what they wanted to do with her, because one moment she's just in it for the thrill of gambling, but at the same time we know that she's actually only there to avenge her parents. So which is it? And actually comparing it to the anime only makes it worse, because it doesn't stack up well. They tried to overcomplicate Yumeko, because anime Yumeko is pretty simple. She loves gambling, and the literal only thing she cares about is gambling.
It's not about money. It's about gambling!
We don't get a backstory other than, like, she has a sister, she has a lot of money, and she might be vaguely related to Kirari. That's it. So, why add this whole revenge aspect on top of that? Hi. Ending me here. So, while editing, I finished season 2 of the anime, and I realized that live-action Yumeko is more similar to Rei Batsubami than anime Yumeko. It's honestly impressive that they f***ed up in such a unique, special way that they ended up with a character that's more similar to an entirely different character than to their actual anime counterpart. Also, by the way, we're halfway through the video, so, you know, maybe try liking, subscribing. I mean, that was the bet. And they also tried way too hard to make her cooler, but she just ends up being cringe, while anime Yumeko is genuinely kind of a ditzy moron, while also being scary and smart as hell when she's gambling. As for the rest of the characters, Raine isn't that much of a downgrade, but that's mostly just because Ryota is the most normal character in the anime. They still managed to make him less interesting because they removed the whole aspect of him slowly learning to understand Yumeko. Dori is just an edgelord that honestly goes for most of the characters. She's supposed to be this absolute psychopath, but she's more like someone that watched the anime, liked Ikishima, and then made that their whole personality. Like, I'm sorry, but this does not compare to this. They also removed the whole aspect of her being a super masochist, you know, the thing that made Ikishima interesting in the first place. Then there's also Suki. He's probably got the worst lines in the entire show, which is saying something. He's also the most annoying character in the entire show. He's every influencer and every vegan stereotype rolled into one. And he's also gay stereotype incarnate. Seriously, it's like the writer's only knowledge of gay people is just the stereotypes. I half believe that they made him this annoying on purpose, and I guess if that is what they were going for, then they succeeded. He's also supposed to be this show's version of Sumeragi, but he's basically nothing like her other than that he also collects nails. Aside from that, he's just a henchman, basically, which sucks because they remove one of my favorite moments of the anime where Sumeragi chooses to put her life on the line because she believes in Yumeko, and also bites off her own nails while she's at it. Again, they're all f***ing insane. Kira is supposed to be Kirari. The writers were f***ing working overtime when they came up with that name.
His name, what's his name? I got nothing on a name. Come on, baby, what's the name?
She's just a spoiled brat. She's not intimidating, and she's also not interesting because she's just got daddy issues because her daddy's a dick and likes her sister more than her. And I'm not even gonna compare her to Kirari because they're just two completely different characters. Mary is probably the closest to her anime counterpart, though that doesn't mean much because the bar isn't just on the floor, it's currently melting its way down to hell. But they didn't completely f*** her up, so that's something, I guess. Also, there's this guy Michael. No idea who he's supposed to be, but he's there, I guess. The games are also somehow worse, just because it's still got all the same issues as the anime, except now the characters also suck. So the thing that made the games work in the anime, you know, the conflict between the characters and watching how they try to one-up each other and how far they'll go just to win, is gone now. Instead, you've got dumb generic teen drama, which also makes up most of the episodes. Like, half of one of the episodes is just dedicated to a bet on whether or not Ryan can lose his virginity. They also tried to build up this whole romance between Ryan and Yumeko, but it never actually goes anywhere, and I'm pretty sure the writers just forgot about it halfway through. I sure did. There's also a whole romance subplot between Dory and Michael. Well, I say romance, but what it actually is just Dory stalking Michael because she's obsessed with him for some reason. And then the show actually tries to make you feel bad for her when Michael rejects her, which is just insane because she literally bugged his laptop so she could watch him sleep. Why the f should I feel bad for her? Alright, so I'm just gonna speed run through the rest of the plot because there's not that much else to talk about, and I'm just kinda sick of this show. So, Yumeko thinks that her roommate's dad blew up her parents, so she tries to bomb him. I'm not kidding. She doesn't though, because she likes her roommate, but they still blow up anyways because Kira's sister had already planted a bomb. And I think they want you to care about the roommate's death, but she's basically just a background character. They had one scene of Yumeko being nice to her, and that's it. That's all the development she got. Skipping ahead a little, Yumeko's now in debt, so she's got one day left to win enough money to get into the top 10 because she thinks that one of the parents of the rich kids killed her parents. So she's playing as many matches as possible. She ends up getting locked in by Dory, but luckily there's a vent. What, you think I'm gonna make an Among Us joke? It's been 5 years, and also, come on, do I look like I take such low-hanging fruit? I have better jokes than that. Okay, no I don't. Anyways, they find a random dusty old room, which turns out to be the old Kakegurui club. Hold on a sec. Sorry, I just had to bash my head against the wall for a sec. That's probably also how the writers came up with this shit. They start gambling, but the student council eventually finds out, so Kira convinces Mary to gamble with Yumeko so she can get back into the student council and defeat Yumeko because, I don't know, Kira doesn't like Yumeko disturbing shit, I guess. I barely remember this shit, man. They play this finger guillotine game, and I was gonna give the show some credit for coming up with a pretty cool original game, but then I started watching season 2 of the anime, and I found out they just took it from there. Anyways, Mary wins, which means she gets her finger guillotined, but they're too to actually cut off her finger. But Yumeko still makes it into the top 10 because she placed the bet that Mary was gonna get back into the student council before the end of the semester, which is actually kind of a decent twist. So they go to this rich people retreat thing. Yumeko tries to poison Michael's dad because she figured out that he killed her parents. There's also a romance subplot between Mary and Kira's sister, which, I'm not kidding, is probably the best part of the show. Though I'll remind you that the bar is in hell right now. Also, I'm pretty sure that's also taken from season 2 of the anime. Though it's also revealed that Kira's sister blew up the roommate because her dad ordered her to, which is already kind of a dumb twist, and it's also only there for dumb relationship drama, but it's even worse because you literally already showed us that! Kira figures out what Yumeko's up to, so she confronts Yumeko and forces her to drink the poison scotch. Yumeko then kisses her and I guess spits into her mouth to also poison her. Then they play a game for the cure, which again, is just taken from season 2 of the anime. Yumeko loses, but somehow Mary wins, and both Yumeko and Kira take the cure. They go to vomit their guts out and agree to take down Kira's dad together. Then Yumeko is confronted by Michael's dad because he figured out that she's here to avenge her parents. Kira randomly walks in and hands Yumeko some more poison scotch. Yumeko stabs the dude with his little drink stirrer thingy. He dies, and she escapes, and that's the end. Also, he randomly names Bitcoin before dying, which is just the stupidest shit ever. Now, couple things. First off, Kira's reason for flipping to Yumeko's side is dumb. Her dad just picks her sister over her, and that's her whole reason for wanting to kill him. I mean, he's also an asshole, but it's still just such a weak motivation to flip. Second, how the f did Yumeko get out of there? This is a retreat for some of the richest and most influential people on the planet. There should be tons of security, not to mention that Yumeko should be f***ed. Her fingerprints should be on the little drink stir thingy. Aside from that, the last 2 episodes are just so f***ing boring. The entire show is so boring that I genuinely halfway through was just like, f*** it, I cannot sit through more of this. I'm putting this on 2 times speed. Yes, I made sure that I didn't miss anything. It was torture. Like, look, I just summarized both of the last 2 episodes in like a minute and a half tops, and that's because nothing interesting actually happens in them. So I skipped over most of the scenes. And honestly, that goes for the whole show. Sure, I could have gone over every scene and pointed out every single dumb moment, but I don't have to. By this point, I think you get the big problems. But after watching this cancer-inducing piece of shit, I needed some clarity of the post-nut variety. So I my blender, and as my dick was getting shredded and twisted every which way to Sunday, I realized the biggest issue is that this show just feels like an edgy Nickelodeon show. The tone is just so all over the place. Like, they clearly want you to take it seriously, but every scene just gives me Parks and Rec vibes. For the record, I've never watched Parks and Rec, but you get my point. Like, Yumeko tries to blow up her roommate's dad, which is already ridiculous, but the tone is just so stupid that you can't take it seriously. So now that I've told you all the reasons why the show sucks big fat sweaty balls, both compared to the anime and on its own, I just have one question left, and this one's for Netflix.
How many times do we have to teach you this lesson, old man?
This show was basically f***ed from the start, because if they perfectly adapted the anime, then there's no point in watching it, because the anime already exists. But I still would have rather had that, because it would have at least been, you know, good? Or at least better than this. because what we got instead is basically just a completely different show with a couple references stapled on. Like, sure, it's neat that you had Runa wear her anime outfit. Sure, it's cool to see the guillotine game, but you completely removed what made the character so good in the anime, and all the original stuff you added also sucks. And that's the thing. The biggest issue isn't even that it changes and removes stuff, is that they replaced it with dumb generic teen drama that isn't interesting. Kira is probably the best example, because in the anime she's a cold and actually manipulative, genuine psycho. She treats the whole school like a zoo, and the only reason she does it is just for entertainment. She's literally only in it to have fun. So in that way, she's very similar to Yumeko. They're both only in it for fun. And they really, like, they don't care about money, they don't care about power, they just want to have fun. That's it. Hell, after her match with Yumeko, she dissolves the student council just because she's bored. While the live-action version is just a spoiled brat with daddy issues. They had a blueprint for how to make something good, but then they just tossed it aside. And I don't get why Netflix keeps doing this. Because it's definitely not for the fans of the anime, and anyone that hasn't watched the anime isn't gonna like it either, cause it's ass. I guess Netflix thought they could recreate live-action Avatar's success, but that show was only successful because it was Avatar. Kakegurui is nowhere near as popular outside of anime fans. Now how the f*** do they think this is gonna be successful? Although knowing my predictions, Netflix is probably gonna break into my house next year and forcibly shove another season directly into my esophagus. But hey, at least it got me to watch the anime, so I guess I got something out of the show. Anyways, you're still here, buddy, so you lost the bet. Now, if you'll direct your attention down a little bit, you'll notice a nice little subscribe button. This motherfucker just used the words mother-tress. Fuck is this dialogue, man?